Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to World of Tanks Generals. This is your somewhat lovely host, News Nation BT, and today we are playing some 3rd Airborne. Because I haven't done that yet on NA, which is really odd, because like the 3rd's the best deck. Basically, I'll ignore that for a little bit. For just a tiny little bit. And I'll just keep it. Okay, we'll do that. We can check it later, I'm guessing. I'm hoping. I don't know. I don't know. Alright, so this list mostly is just your basic 3rd mill list. Mills just pretty much exclusively through the priest, which is why it's in there. Some questionable cards are, I guess, including the T40 and the Lee is kind of questionable, but the T40 is pretty great. Has defense, 2 resource growth. It's quite good. Recruitment drive is also in here. Mostly because it needs some healing because of the second change. I didn't really have any better option. It's not bad though. Mostly because it searches for a tank destroyer or an arty. And well, that's one of 4 units actually. Forgot the T-82 is a tank destroyer. And really, all of those are okay. I mean, a T-82 is the worst you can get out of that, and that's 4 damage. And 4 damage isn't exactly bad, but the best you can get out of it is the priest. Arguably, the priest is the best you can get out of it, which is, you know, your win condition. We'll coax him up with this. Hoping this coaxes both units up, because here's 3 and there's 5. Or he uses an order on it, or he drops another light tank on it. I don't know. Looks like it might be another light tank. Any of those events is rather good for us, because this deck is a much more defensive deck than anything else. It likes to sit back. It loves to sit back, actually, and just kind of relax and let them come at us as we mill them to death. So that's why the T-82s are in here, because the T-82s are really good at that. They're really quite good at just sitting there and being dropped on something. Like, we're going to probably drop the T-82 and the A7V on this T-24 since he messed up and didn't kill his T-21, and we'll probably send the T-21 into the LOL tractor. But a great play would be if we draw a priest, we'll definitely be playing the priest and priesting the LOL tractor, and then T-21ing and A7Ving the T-24, and the T-21 would move up here, of course. Or, no, we'd probably kill this first, then move it up here, then kill that. I don't know. Really, if that happens, that'll be a great play. Probably won't happen, though. It's probably not going to happen. There's something we said now about killing that Su-18. There's a lot of good things to be said about killing that Su-18, but the LOL tractor is also pretty good to kill. For a moment I thought it was going to be another Su-18, and I was like, oh, his play makes sense now. But no, it doesn't make sense. Yeah, Su-18 might get killed, because it's arty, and I don't know, there's just a rule in my mind that you have to kill arty sometimes, but you don't have to. Alright, we're going to hope for a priest. We got the priest. Pretty nice. We have enough to do this with. Although I think what we may want to do is a T-21, just because it might convince him to move up here a little bit more and move more units up here to die. And if it doesn't, it can move up and threaten the Su-18. That was almost a perfect draw. I mean, that wasn't almost a perfect draw. That was a perfect draw. That was beautiful. That was just beautiful. He can easily kill this T-21 on the back, but it looks like he's choosing not to, and that's okay. I would have probably shot that with the Su-18, to be honest. Just being honest with you. Probably would have. Okay, then. this is going quite well because of some not so solid decision making on his part. I mean, this is probably not a great game to watch a lot, because it's going to be... This is going to turn into a slaughter, is what I'm saying. Like, very quickly, we're going to pretty much kill everything. Soon. We'll definitely be putting that down. And we'll do this. This was a pretty greedy play on our part because, I don't know. Like, the worst that can happen here is it draws a card. That's the worst that can happen. No, worst that can happen is it eats one of his cards. Maybe he has an order in here that does damage and he'll use it on that to stop us from drawing a card. I mean, all options with the T-82 are pretty good because it's 3 and if you can drop it and do 4 damage with it for 3, that's already good. Like, if that was an order, 3 for 4, that wouldn't be a bad order. But it has a chance to redraw itself if they remove it with Artie, which they probably want to do, honestly. Or they can attack it with a unit and let it deal another 4 damage. So that's 8 damage for 3, which is pretty good. That's actually better than Breakthrough, and Breakthrough is pretty great. Sure, the other half of that damage you can't really direct, but that's fine. It's still extra. Sometimes preferable over the card draw. And it eating an order, that's okay too. Obviously, that's always okay because it's a card for a card. I mean, the worst that could have happened there was he moved this Hetzer down and shot that and left this alone. It moved up, ate the Hetzer. Or even this moved up, ate the Hetzer with the Priest. That would probably even what happened since we're pretty dedicated to the route of, you know, milling him. Like, oh, he should be... What? What? My cat is meowing at me really loudly. So, really the, what is it, the T-82? Yes, the T-82 is a pretty great little unit. It's not really a little unit either. Don't know why I'm calling it a little unit. It's not. It's pretty good. It's rather good, in fact. Okay. Milling, we'll move this up, get this T40 down, hit right there. And yeah, as you can tell, this deck is very defensive. It has Lees in it, 3 Lees, it has 3 T40s, those each have defense. It has a recruitment drive, or I think it's called recruitment drive. I don't know, I can't tell. The name's cut off in my image of this deck. It's recruitment drive or recruit drive. I think it's recruitment drive is what it's called. It has 2 telephonists and 3 cops. So, yeah, it's probably not going to get rushed down by anything anytime soon. Ways to improve this deck, I would definitely go with... Definitely first one I would do is, if you have a T1 Heavy, definitely replace the A7Vs with T1 Heavies. Because that will help you spend your resources a little bit more, and you know, spending resources with American decks is great. The A7V sort of helps that because it lets you put down a second card a lot. But I mean, late game you don't have a lot of stuff to dump all your resources in, other than really the Lee and maybe arguably the T35's expensive, sort of, but it's really not. I mean, you need more. So a T1 is one really good, mostly because the end cost. The healing is good on it. The being able to fill your turn up, like spend all your resources during that turn, is great. They might not all be effective because you might not be that damaged, but they might all be effective. I mean, end costs are great because they help you maximize your turn. Like top deck and end cost card, you can spend more resources, meaning you get more out of your turn. especially with third, because this isn't the 11th. The 11th doesn't really care as much because it can always maximize its turn and spend a lot of its resources, since it has an ability that allows you to spend your resources. In Magic the Gathering, we'd refer to those as mana sinks. And those are great, by the way. You need some. If you're not spending your resources in a game, then you're probably not winning, because resources, you spend them to win the game. Cards are resources, supplies are resource, HP on your HQ, that's also technically a resource. And you kind of need to spend that in a way, like you need to be okay with managing that. Which is why recruitment drive's in here, because this deck doesn't have a lot of that. And healing is good. Once I get the T1, recruit drive might go away. Air superiority's good too. Air superiority's a great card. You could probably justify running 3 T2s in here, but that's always questionable, because then you sometimes have too many T2s. But 2 doesn't feel like enough, 3 feels like too much. So it's too bad you can't run 2.5. You kind of can, because I guess the waves, or the arty that does that, the draw heavy arty that's like the T2, or the waves can go in here also. I would personally prefer the waves, because I like that a lot better, since it gives you healing and card draw. And those are 2 fairly good things that this deck can always use more of. It's really odd that he is running like a tier 8 squad? This right here has to be pretty much most of his like deck power. This is probably over half of his deck power, 250. But no, it's probably a third of his deck power, this one card. And all it does for him is give his oh, it doesn't do that, because that's a support ability. So all it is a 212. This is what you call bad, by the way, guys. That is very bad. Like, don't do this. Like, actually, radio operators is better in every way. And radio operators, it's not bad. I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm saying generally you wouldn't run 3 of them, but they're better than that in this situation. If he's not running 3 of those, though. So yeah, don't run high power cards, like 1 high power card. It kind of throws off the rest of your deck a little bit. So yeah, that's a good lesson, I guess. But I'm sure most people would know that, especially when the card doesn't do a lot for you. There's not much else to talk about in this deck. The Lees are there because they're good. The Wolverines are good. The T40s are good. The Stewarts, yeah, Stewarts, of course. Those are obvious reasons, because firstly, you need a light tank, and Stewarts are a pretty okay light tank. For 2, you get a 1/4. They can take care of your spotting needs when you need something spotted. That's mostly what light tanks are for, in my opinion. They're not the... I don't use light tanks as... I don't view them as amazing combat units most of the time, but it's great when they happen to also be amazing combat units, like the ones that deal 3. But the Stewart's good enough. It spots, that's what I want a light tank to do, but it also spots the arty, which is great. That's more than I expect to have a light tank, honestly. This game is going to take a while, so we're here for the long haul, I guess. Because I don't like cutting apart games. Like, I don't like that, even this. Because I get some opportunity to talk to you guys. If you want me to start, like, maybe cutting apart battles when things like this happen, I could probably start it, I guess, but I don't really want to. Because that'd take a very long time to actually edit my videos together then, and I do these every day. I mean, you can actually just skip. That's always an option. But also, it gives me valuable time to talk about things that might or might not help somebody. I don't know. I'm talking about why the Stewart's in here could have helped somebody realize what it's for. Even though, in my opinion, I mean, I would think everybody would know what the Stewart was for already. It's to spot the arty and to be a light tank. Didn't get to play a Lee. We would have had a pretty big Lee here, but we're not getting one because it looks like he's just going to run his timeout. So in that case, we'll spend that to just maximize our resources spent this game. Get a little more XP. Makes sense. Just farm for the credits and the XP. This was a win either way, so I don't feel bad about him leaving, other than it wastes like 3 minutes of our time. But yeah, we farmed some damage up, although I don't think that really matters a lot, because I think we get the damage when it auto-surrenders at the end of 1 minute. Not certain, though. Either way, it showed how we could move that to do more damage, I guess. I don't know. It's not harmful to take that turn, really. It can only help us. Maybe he comes back. I don't know. Then he dies sooner. So, yeah. I'm not in a habit of skipping my turn just because they skip their turn. I'm not gentlemanly like that. Mostly because I assume that they're just trying to run the clock out and just kind of not coming back. Okay, see? I saved you guys time by taking that last turn. It'd be really nice if there was an all button for this, but when you're being a horrible person, obviously Wargaming doesn't want you to have life easy. And yes, you kind of are being a horrible person when you do this. We messed up, though, quite a bit. We could have gotten more damage out of this, because we could have moved this T40 back, and then... Wait, no, we couldn't have. Never mind. What am I saying? I'm like, we could have gotten this T6 to shoot upon that, and I was like, then move this Wolverine up to the space that, you know, it was occupying. The card. And I'm like, wait a second, that doesn't work that way. We could have gotten a bit more damage, though, anyway, by moving this Wolverine back, moving this T6 up here, and popping this A7V in. But we didn't. So, yeah. I guess I wanted the higher health in the bridgehead. I can argue that. Maybe he could have killed it on 3. So there's a good chance that he couldn't have. I'm curious if we could have done a bit better. Could we have gone that in? This? Yeah, we could have moved it back, then done that, then done that, then done that. Okay. So we did make another mistake there. We could have maximized damage a bit more. Could have moved this Lee back here. This T40, pushed it back. Then the Stuart could have popped over here on his way back, letting this T6 move in, letting this T6 move out, letting this A7V move in. But generally, I don't think that much when the game is already like won. Like normally, I save that level of thought for when I'm actually really worried about losing, like next turn, because then it matters a lot more. Here, it's pretty consequential. Like it doesn't matter a lot. Okay, let's just drop that so we spend more resources, and then there we go. There's the game. That was a very long game. All these are pretty long. I'll get another one. This will be a longer video for all you fans of the third. And I think that might have been the first game with the Lees. I'm not sure. I don't know. The rating system seems to only count when you play the card. So, yeah, I didn't play it the first time I played this deck. So, yeah, we'll go on to another one. And I'll see you then. And we're back. Alright, I'm not going to close that this time because now I know it doesn't really save the message too well. Alright. Okay. He's probably not going to rush us down too hard, so we can probably deploy the Wolverine on the back line again. I mean, it's... if he starts rushing us, this was a bad play. If he doesn't, this was a good play. So really going first, we don't know what type of deck he is. So we'll just play it safe, put the Wolverine on the back. Because I guess we have a Lee, so I guess I sound really stupid by being like, oh, he might rush us down with this, you know, this Lee in hand that's going to have at least 16 health. Okay, I see your point. Yeah, That's a stupid concern. Hey, we can recruitment drive possibly into a priest. We'll see. If not, the steward will remove that nicely. Okay. Good, good, good. See, recruitment drive is really good. We're back to full health, and we have our win condition out. Spotting that Artie doesn't matter, so we'll put down the steward to, like, round out our play, so we used all our resources instead of just most. Next turn might be a bad play, like we might not use all, or we might use Vali. Probably should use Vali, probably shouldn't be too greedy. If we can get an 18, 19 health Lee out, that will be pretty good. Most would probably agree that that is almost ideal Lee. There can be a pun made in there, I just realized that. But I'm not going to make it. Because I'm an adult. That's also a lie. This T7's going to get lead. Not lead, I mean priested. Yeah. Move the steward up. And we'll drop a 18 health Lee. And give us another draw for next turn so we can make a more effective play next turn. Alright, we'll just do this because him playing something there still hits this, and he probably will. So let's just get that 1 damage on this Artie while we can, I guess. Get it softened up for killing it later. This Lee will do many things for us. It'll keep us alive, of course, which is always good. And it will also it'll also give us pretty good card advantage when we fight for the board, because it looks like he's going to fight us for the board. So the Lee is good in multiple ways. It has defense, so it's pretty much can be used as a extra HP pull for your what's the word I'm looking for? For your HQ. There's the word I'm looking for. Feel stupid sometimes. And also it can fight really well because of the high HP. High HP is never bad for fighting. In fact, it's always great for fighting with. Alright, next turn we're going to be removing this Artie and that, and we do have another Lee for later. I mean, we can play it now, actually. Yeah, let's play it now. We don't need it to be that big. What will that be? 15 health? That's fine. That's about what you see on a tier 8 unit. So that's an acceptable amount of health. This Wolverine, we can start getting it in the fight now. Because 2/3 of our cards that care about the Wolverine have been played. We have a lot of HP on this board, and that's never a bad thing. This Lee might sit back on our HQ for a little while, because it doesn't look like it's going to be able to get his gun set on anything. Okay, that M37 is going to be removed. And this Lee is going to sit in here. Plug up his bridgehead. Okay, there's a priest. Priest is always pretty good. I kind of want to keep this Wolverine back. Yeah, we'll get kind of greedy. This Lee, we can take a turn worth of damage. Okay, there's a surrender. yeah, I kind of want to get one more for you guys because that was a very quick game. So that showed the early game off pretty well, and really the late game. Yeah, we'll get one more. Let's. And we're back. This one's recorded much later because I didn't know I was recording another one because I changed my mind and was like, wait, no, guys, and said bye. Except I hit the stop recording button. I think because the end of my recording doesn't have that, so we are doing another one because I promised you guys another one. I really hope everything's okay, and I hope I'm not just crazy. I might just be crazy. I mean, that's possible too. So this is is most certainly a hand that he may or may not appreciate the humor behind. Oh boy. Oh boy, I hope he's a rush deck. I really hope he's a rush deck. So we have a ton of healing, we have a ton of lease. So these will have 17 health each, and that doesn't look like a lot, I know, but it's one tank in a tier 4 game, like 600 power, so that's a lot of HP. That will take him a long time to kill. But this he's going to kill very quickly. I mean, we might not even... Nah, 15 health is fine. Yeah, 15 health is fine. It's better to not be greedy. 15 health is more than enough. Next turn, we're going to probably put a lot of our squads up. Probably... Well, we'll fish for a priest first thing. I mean, this is kind of bad that we don't have a lot of our board control, I guess you can say. Okay, that's fine. That as long as he didn't hit that T2, everything was okay. Oh, look, our Lee is almost dead now. It's not quite dead, though. It's like, we might want to fish for a priest to kill that with, but I guess we don't really need to, do we? Alright. I mean, for the most part, these Lees are okay because they're going to give us a decent amount of HP to spare. But so are the telephonists, and hopefully he's going to try to control the board, but he's really not, because he's not that type of deck, seemingly. He is a rushier deck, so things could go wrong very quickly for us. We can draw 4, and then play that. And we can actually afford to do that, too. We can recruitment drive, and then that. Or we'll play this one, actually. We need to start getting a Wolverine up. Because next turn, there's a good chance next turn is the, Lee, because we're going to be pretty dead. Just all depends on what he does. All depends on what he does. He might want to kill these T-82s. I'm not sure, though. I would recommend it if I was him. I like killing T-82s in their sleep. Not really in their sleep, but you know what I mean. Next turn, probably Priest, Stewart, maybe recruitment drive, hope into a hopeful like T-40. Oh no, there goes our Lee, our big Lee. No. Alright, he kind of wrecked us. Not really. No, he didn't really wreck us. No, we're okay. Seeing as he wants to fight for the board like this, we'll be able to fight for the board better than he will. We should have kept the Wolverine back there, though. That hurt us a lot. We'll convince him he wants to maybe shoot that. Oh, I'm sorry if I sound a bit off. Like, I did take NyQuil a few hours ago, so I'm really drowsy. It's not actually NyQuil, it's, corticidone, I believe is how it's pronounced. I'm not certain. Don't quote me on that, guys, 'cause I'm not sure. But I think that's what it is. Corticidone, I think is how it's said. I'm not sure, though. Not sure at all. I mean, I want to use a Stewart to, like, round out the turn. But I also wanted to guarantee this Squirrely dies next turn. So I almost want to just do a 13 health Lee. But I kind of don't at the same time. So I think we'll just take the risk of playing the Stewart and putting it up there and hoping that he can't kill two Stewarts, basically, is what we're doing. And we'll have a bigger Lee next turn. Much bigger Lee next turn. Will be 16 health, and that's okay. It's more health than we have currently. And if he shoots Stewarts, like both of them, that's also not terrible, I guess. Alright, our Stewarts are fine. Okay, cool. Cool, it worked out. The risky play worked out. Really well, actually, in fact. Yeah, it doesn't look like it was that risky, but it kind of was. Kind of really was. A little bit on the risky side of things. Just like it would be if I decided to play this Wolverine and not a Lee. But we are going to definitely play... I mean, we could do an 11 health Lee. But we want a high health Lee. Do 13 and just hope he doesn't have the Wrath. Basically, that's what we're doing. We're hoping for not a Wrath. Next turn will be Wolverine T6. Yep, that's Wolverine end T6. And hey, that worked out. There wasn't a Wrath, so now a Wrath, like, alone doesn't kill us, at least. Next turn, that is. Okay, there we go. If we draw some recruitment drives, then things will be very okay. Things will be very good, in fact. Because he's actually running, like, enough units where we could mill him. Well, we can't really mill him like this. That was the only problem. Well, I mean, we can. I guess we will, because that's our win condition, right? Get a little bit greedy. By a little bit greedy, I mean incredibly greedy. I don't have confidence that we can beat down his HQ. I really don't have confidence on that. So these Lees might just kind of sit in our, like, both of them might just sit in our bridgehead. I mean, one might go out, actually. I don't know. Depends on how he starts playing. I know he has Wraths, but he's used one or two of them already, so he probably doesn't have another, because we've milled a lot of his deck. But it'd be much safer to just keep both these Lees at home. There's a Grilly. That's a Grilly, and since this is nice and polite and having an odd number of hit points, we're okay with that. Alright, we'll put down another lead. Don't accidentally click the deploy button, basically, is what you do. And that's 19 health. And now all of our things are dead that need the Wolverine. So we'll actually still keep it back here. We won't sacrifice it yet. That is a surrender. Alright, very rightly so. He probably wasn't going to win that, seeing as we had a lot of HP and a pretty good start against a Ute. Even if they're not a aggro or like rush deck, you're still at risk of being rushed down by a board Ute as the third because your HP is so low. So yeah, that's it for today. As always, please leave your feedback in the comments section down below. I always love hearing that. I love you all. I hope you have wonderful days, and I'll see you next time.